what it do, 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 world. Yes. Randy Watson. Yes. Sex with Shalom, beloveds. How's everybody doing? It's been too long. It's been too long. Yeah, I had to bring my happy old face on in here. Everybody like, where you been? I know, my bad. I got y'all though. But yeah, no, we here. We live and direct. And we gonna break up a lot of these segments. I got so many tabs for y'all. It's been wow, crazy. I got a lot of tabs, a lot of articles. So over time, I just want to be able to break all this stuff down. But in the background, I've been working on a lot of stuff. So I pray and hope that everybody is safe and blessed and healthy and happy and joyful and gleeful. Because it's all good on this sunny side of the coast. It's very hot outside. So we still in May. We ain't even hit nothing yet. So, but yeah, no, without no further ado, without holding everybody up too much, everybody, we live on TikTok, Instagram, Kick, X, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. So shout out to all the beloved brothers and sisters out there. We're gonna get y'all tuned in with all of the news that is going on right now. So without further ado, we're gonna go into the global, and got other segments. I got one where the snakes are. It's the year of the snake. Shalom, beloved. How you doing? So we're gonna be talking about the major population of the snakes, the gray wolves, the bears, the coyotes, the screwworm flies. There's a lot going on around the world right now. So without further ado, I just want to break it down in every single aspect because I've been talking about these things for quite some time. And, to be able to take a break right now, to be able to see a lot of the things that were talked about before unfold, it's kind of good to be able to go back and see a refresher on some of the things that we have come across. So, yeah, let me pull up my handy dandy global map. We're gonna do that first, and we're gonna go into some of the other guys reporting on their side of what's going on. So, yeah, let's go to the world map. For all the ones on TikTok, you won't be able to see what is on the screen because we're live simultaneously on all the other platforms. So you can catch that on YouTube or any of the other sites at Prime Blaq. You can look that up. So let me put that in the chat for you guys. Prime Blaq. So, yes. Matter of fact, let me put that in here as well. Yep. Without further ado, let's go on back. Let's see what's going on in the world. There's so much going on. So we still got volcanic eruptions going on in Alaska and Hawaii along the Bering Strait. They've still been creeping up to this focal point right here, as you can see, right outside of Korea, North Korea, South Korea, really. There was a 4.0. So it's been rattling for quite some time over the last months that I haven't been able to disclose a lot of the information that's been going on around the world with you guys. But there's a major fire going on in Russia right now, major outdoor fire. You got what's going on in China, so much stuff going on in China. You got the coal mines collapsing, a lot of earthquake activity, a lot of tsunami activity. We've had earthquakes all throughout Asia Pacific, throughout India. You had the Himalayas been going off all year. And you're seeing all of these tremors along all of this area, along all of this region. So it's creeping around into this diamond. As you can see, it's even getting close to Tokyo. There was a 4.0 close to Tokyo on that side, on the east side. There was one on the west side, right in front of Taipei, Taiwan. So you got a 4.3 there. you've been seeing a lot of forwards. All the amplification of all of the earthquakes have definitely been hitting, definitely down here in New Zealand, along all the major tectonic plates. So there's a cluster of them going on down there. So throughout India, it's storming like crazy right now, all throughout the Cambodian area, Myanmar, Burma, Thailand, Malaysia. So all of the Indonesian islands. It's been a lot of what is that, turbulent waters, even with all the tariffs and all the ships sitting dormant right now. You still talk about the tariffs that are still affecting. Sister Lisa Cabrera just got finished talking about that, where it's really affecting a lot of the businesses, even her business, even my business. For many that don't know, I make a phenomenal chicken on Fridays, and even just the price of all the food. You got to think about all these things. A lot of stores are starting to lock up their products now. Getting cages and glass cases and alarm sounds. So yeah, you had an earthquake in Pakistan, Tajikistan. Pakistan, you still got a lot of unrest out there, but the food and the famine and stuff like that has really been hitting those areas really bad right now. You still got a lot of, you still got the stuff in Ukraine going on. You got the major earthquake that happened right outside of Greece and Italy as well. So a lot of the Greek activity has been going on right now. So many fires everywhere around the world right now, simultaneously going on. So we haven't even gotten to all of that yet, but I'm just, giving you a summary of a lot of the different areas. Spain has definitely been getting flooded. Italy, France has been getting flooded. So yeah, Argentina, they got hit. Chile got hit. There was an earthquake in the middle of the ocean. So it's about to be hurricane season coming up right now. You have a lot of major storms that just happened. Tornadoes just ripped through a lot of America right now, from Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Oklahoma, Kentucky, definitely, West Virginia, or Virginia, Tennessee. They're going through a water crisis. I'm going to get to all of these different things, you guys. Like, so much going on in every single particular location. There's been so much activity, earthquake activity in Chile and Argentina. So, right outside of Argentina, right along where this snakehead is, right at the tip of the mouth of it, the Drake Passage has definitely been rocking and rolling right now. You've been seeing a lot of clusters of activity going on right now. Throughout the coast of Mexico, you have a lot of earthquakes going on there as well. Port-au-Prince is still under a lot of unrest, infrastructure collapse. Let's see what's going on here. That's last updated. Kamikaze drone raid, at least 17 terrorists dead. Yeah, Haiti still got a lot of protests going on right now. So there was a mystery spill in Port of San Juan has returned. Barbados is getting hit by massive storms. So all along America, let's see what you got going on here. Still got a massive drought going on right now. A lot of the agriculture across the land is becoming definitely something else. Still got a major outbreak of measles across the whole country, definitely along the whole South. So Colorado, Colorado, there was an explosion. I think it was at a church. I believe I had that in the news as well. Salmonella outbreak. You got to understand, this is a cucumber outbreak, recall. But you got to understand the weather patterns have been affecting a lot of the growth patterns of all of the food. And so, man, there's so much to tie all this is in the layers. It goes from micro to macro, macro to micro. When you're dealing with the food, like the screw worms. The screw worms are a particular type of fly that eats the flesh of cattle and is known to eat the flesh of humans as well. So you're running into this case where you have this flesh-eating fly now that has run rampant because of the waters, the murkiness, the mosquitoes have become very prevalent and extremely volatile now. The flies have become extremely volatile now, where they are, I guess they're attacking you. They're like attacking you. You're seeing a lot of people with different sicknesses coming up. Like I just said, with the measles, there's plenty of other things that have been going on as well. So with the food supply, you're seeing a lot of mold right now. There's an extreme case of mold going on. After seeing a lot of these buildings and structures get knocked down, and many places have been left dormant, and that's allowed a lot of foliage and you know life forms and organisms to be able to thrive and thrive. And so you're seeing an influx of animal wildlife pick up throughout California. You're seeing a major uptick in coyote in Pennsylvania and many other regions like Iowa, um, taking advantage of the cattle. You're looking at a lot of people's chickens have been going missing. People have been growing chickens in their backyards and stuff like that. They've been going missing. Um, yes, it's like that. It's really like that. The bears have been popping up in so many people's living spaces because they've been able to see that the population of humans in these regions have definitely died down. And so, and even with the weather patterns being as they have been shutting down a lot of the national parks. And so many of the national parks are starting to open back up now. But in the meantime, while all of that time was lapsing, this allowed animals to not have to be bothered with, and they've been allowed to shack up and reproduce. So as these people are going back out on these trails and hikes, you're seeing a massive amount of wolf attacks, mountain lion attacks, bear attacks, or just encounters, just in general. Uh, just the encounter with extreme wildlife right now. Like I said, this is the year of the snake. I haven't even gotten to the snake. So, but the weather is definitely going on across the whole country. So, just wanted to leave that with you guys. Just wanted to make sure ain't nothing else going on right now. There's a lot of stuff going on everywhere. Maine, Vermont, yeah, you name it. It is going down. You got a train out there in Ohio. Yeah. There was a hurricane throughout Bloomington, Indiana. Yeah. Yeah, I used to live out there. So it's definitely a lot of things going on. So anyway, let's see what's right here in Alberta. Uh, 48 cases of measles. It's nearest 500 case mark since March. And it's just skyrocketing. So yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Show you some of these videos. So yes. Shalom, beloveds. So yeah, let's see what this weather look like over here.
Change is coming to the United States over the next few days, and this will bring more severe weather to areas like the Great Plains, in addition to much colder weather for a large chunk of the United States and a bunch more severe weather systems throughout the rest of May. So in today's forecast, we are going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 days, and we'll begin with what's happening across the country today, and we are once again getting over another major severe weather outbreak that just wound down back over in the Ohio Valley and the Dixie Alley, where we saw a bunch of tornadoes, lots of wind and hail. Luckily, the storm system is weakening as it approaches the East Coast, and overall our low pressure system, which is all the way back up here in the upper Midwest, and another one back over in Ohio, are now beginning to weaken. And generally speaking, we are not expecting much more severe weather out of this storm system, but as we go into Friday and Saturday, we are expecting another storm system to move over the Rockies, and I do think the return of more severe weather is ahead for areas like the Great Plains, perhaps even the Midwest, and even back through the Ohio Valley. And over the past couple of days, we've had major severe weather outbreaks, and on Monday, we had a major severe weather outbreak across the Great Plains, where over 20 tornado reports have now come in addition to over 200 wind and hail reports. It was a major day, almost 600 total reports, making this one of the larger severe weather events that we've had so far this year across the Great.
Check out where it's all happening at, though. Is it me, y'all? The fact that that is happening right where X marks the spot. You can't make this up. That's happening directly where all of that was happening. Cross.
Plains. And then yesterday we have at least so far had at least around 200 wind reports, at least 100 hail reports, in addition to around 11 different tornadoes that have been at least confirmed visually, and we will likely get more reports as we go throughout the day today. But even yesterday was a tornado outbreak, including the tornado emergency that happened near Huntsville, Alabama. And we also have more news on our deadly tornado outbreak that happened on Friday of last week. We end up having 2 EF4 tornadoes, one of which was near Marion, Illinois, and another one near London, Kentucky, which unfortunately cost the lives of around 20 people. And this was one of the damage photos just to the southeast of Russell Springs, which is where one of many tornadoes happened back over in southeast Kentucky. This was at least EF3 damage, and we are expecting to get more reports and as well as photos of the damage from the EF4 tornado in London, so stay tuned for that. But unfortunately, a devastating event that happened across the Ohio Valley, making it one of the deadliest tornado outbreaks that we've had in multiple years. Now let's talk more about the weather pattern that'll be impacting the United States over the next several days, and we'll begin with what's happening today, which right now we have our jet stream dipped a little bit over here to the east coast, which we have our trough located mainly back over in the northeast, which will be weakening throughout the day today. But this is also going to help to bring some colder weather to areas along the east coast over the next few days. Eventually by the weekend, a ridge is going to briefly build across the southern plains, but it really will not last that long. We're going to actually start to see the return of severe weather as early as Friday across parts of the central and southern plains, even possibly tomorrow in areas like Texas and Oklahoma, due to some mesoscale features that could allow for severe weather. So generally speaking, this upper level ridge is not really going to do much, but it will build some warmer weather, and we're going to have to watch for our next storm system, which is going to come from the west coast here. I also want to point out, back over in the Midwest, we actually have a northwesterly flow here. What this will help to do is bring a lot of colder weather out of Canada. There is also a low chance maybe Friday or Saturday that we get a line of storms somewhere over here, but I think the odds of that are low due to a lack of moisture. But typically when we have northwesterly flow this time of the year, lines of thunderstorms do often happen. So just something to keep an eye on, especially as we go into June. By Saturday, our low pressure system will move over the Rockies. Off the bat, you'll notice that we have very weak upper level winds. So generally speaking, this is not expected to be a very strong storm system, but it is notable because it will likely be our next big severe weather maker as we go into Sunday and Monday. I do think there will be enough here for there to at least be one day where we have a potential severe weather outbreak across parts of the central and southern plains. Whether that is tornadoes, hail, or wind is still uncertain, but I do think areas back over here, especially on Sunday and Monday, need to be staying weather aware for at least some scattered severe weather. I'm not saying, again, we're going to see something like what we just saw over the last 6 or 7 days, but it is definitely something we need to keep an eye on. Eventually, by Wednesday and Thursday, that low pressure system will just spin over the Midwest, and another low pressure system will try to move over the Rockies, which could also bring more severe weather. And as we go into June, I do think our weather pattern will stay relatively active, and I do think we'll continue to see multiple events of severe weather. Now let's put this into more simplistic terms with our future radar over the next few days, beginning with today. Showers, thunderstorms, and isolated severe weather will continue along the East Coast, which we'll talk more about the severe weather threat in a few minutes. This will eventually move into the New England area as we go into Thursday, just spinning up some rain really more than anything. And then as we go into Friday, a surface-based high pressure system will build across the Ohio Valley in the Midwest, which will keep things quiet at least for Friday and Saturday. And then on Saturday, a low pressure system will move over the Rockies and should lead to the return of at least some isolated severe weather Friday night. And then on Saturday, it's a pretty similar trend. This low pressure system will be kind of flirting with the Rockies. There could be some isolated to scattered severe weather, but again, generally speaking, it's going to probably be limited by a cap. But on Sunday and Monday is when I think things really start to ramp up here, where we are expecting at least some more scattered to numerous severe weather, especially on Sunday, back over in Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, and even back over in Missouri and Arkansas, where damaging winds, large hail, and maybe even a few tornadoes will be a possibility. And then on Monday, the storm system moves to the east, likely with another round of severe weather stretching from central Texas all the way back through Tennessee and the Dixie Alley. And then eventually, as we go into Tuesday, this storm system will move towards the east coast, where there could be still some isolated severe weather left over. So generally speaking, I do think Sunday and Monday do have the potential to be severe weather events that could be a bit more significant, maybe a slight enhanced type day of severe weather. And then by the middle and end of the week, that low pressure system spins out back over in the northeast, and we should continue to see at least some severe weather in the southern plains even by the end of the week. Despite there being some high pressure system near the surface, there will likely still be some mesoscale events there, and then eventually by the beginning of June, which is very far out from now, we have no clue what's going to happen, but I do expect that there will be more severe weather events across the Great Plains, and it should stay fairly active. Now, with this weather pattern, we are expecting actually some pretty cold weather for the next week or two, and this is mainly because of all of our low pressure systems. So over the next few days, cold weather will continue across the Ohio Valley in the northeast with below average temperatures, and above average temperatures will continue in the southern plains. As we go into early next week, more cold weather is going to usher in right into the Ohio Valley, the southeast, and across the Midwest, so expect at least some below average temperatures during the middle and end of next week. And even by next weekend, we're basically going to continue to deal with the same weather pattern as long as we keep continuing to see these low pressure systems in the Ohio Valley and as well as across the Great Plains, which we will likely see this at least for the next 7 to 10 days, and then warmer weather will likely return as we go into early June for many areas in the Ohio Valley. And the Climate Prediction Center agrees with this because between Monday of next week all the way through Friday, below average temperatures are likely across a large chunk of the northeast back into the Ohio Valley and the southern plains, and then above average temperatures are likely if you're anywhere to the west or even in the Rocky Mountains. Now let's talk more about the severe weather potential for the next few days. Beginning with today, we have multiple risks of severe weather, believe it or not. We got 5 different areas. We got one over in Ohio and West Virginia. We got another one back over in North Carolina and Virginia, and another one in Florida, another one in Texas, and then one back over in the Central Plains. I've never seen this before, where we have 5 different areas in a risk of severe weather, and they're all very different, but for the most part, hail and wind will be the main concerns today, and it's pretty isolated in nature, but there is a low chance for an isolated tornado, especially back over in eastern North Carolina, where we actually have a 5% tornado risk in place for approximately 100,000 people. So make sure that you're staying weather aware. There's also a very low chance of a tornado just to the southwest of Pittsburgh. And then as we go into tossing trampolines on tall trees Thursday, we have a large marginal threat of severe weather across the southern plains, and another one back over into Florida, where the main concern will be damaging winds and hail. And I also think a tornado is possible, mainly back over to the northeast of Dallas-Fort Worth, back over near Texarkana, and also near the Red River Valley. There is actually a chance that we go live tomorrow if this threat does look a little bit more concerning, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel and click the bell icon so you're notified if we do go live. And then on Friday, the risk of severe weather returns to the Great Plains, mainly across Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri, and another one back over in Florida, where the main concern will be isolated hail and wind, and our tornado risk, generally speaking, looks low for now on Friday. So here's the timing for today. We'll have some scattered showers and storms out there this morning across multiple areas along the East Coast. By around lunchtime, a few storms will start to fire off across Ohio and West Virginia with isolated hail and wind, and a few will be firing in eastern North Carolina, where hail and wind are the main concerns, but an isolated tornado is possible. By around 2 to 3 o'clock, these storms are moving towards Pittsburgh, where generally speaking, these are going to really start to weaken. More than anything, just isolated wind and hail will continue as that moves towards State College in Pennsylvania, and then we're basically done. So overall, we have a very short window for tornadoes today. It's going to be probably about an hour or two long at most, just to the southwest of Pennsylvania, where there will be a localized area of wind shear, and if any storms are discrete, that'll be where we see a potential tornado threat. Same thing basically back over in North Carolina. It'll be any time from about right now up until about 1 o'clock where we could see an isolated tornado. And then back over in the southern plains, we are expecting the risk of severe weather tomorrow afternoon and into the early evening. Storms are likely going to fire off here across northeast Texas during the early afternoon, mainly with a hail and wind risk initially. Could see an isolated spin-up tornado. There's actually going to be a little bit of wind shear in this environment, very localized area, so wouldn't rule out a tornado here. And then by around 5, 6 o'clock, these storms will be splitting all over the place in North Texas. We might also see a few more storms fire off back over near Abilene and Wichita Falls, with hail and wind being a possibility and a very low tornado risk out of those storms. These will likely fall apart as we get closer to midnight. So generally speaking, it's almost an all-day threat, it looks like right now in Texas and southeastern Oklahoma, but I think it's going to be a pretty isolated risk in nature. Hail should be the main concern, a little bit of wind, and maybe a tornado. And if the tornado threat does actually look, something that might be a concern, we will likely be live. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you're notified with the latest updates. And as always,
it is going down, y'all.
Good morning. How's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Wednesday. May 21st, 2025 is the date. 11 a.m. local time here in California. Got, looks like a little earthquake coming into Southern California right now on the live seismograph stations there. This is coming off of a 2-pointer, I believe. Just double check that. Looks like a 2.1 on the San Jacinto fault zone towards the southern end, outside of Borrego Springs. Not a big earthquake, but one of the latest quakes there showing up in Southern California.
So, if many don't know, there's been 8,000 earthquakes. There's been 8,000 earthquakes so far within this region.
Still a little bit of activity here across the close to the border area this morning. Got a little swarm of movement just north of Mexicali on the Imperial Fault. The San Andreas Fault out there continues to sleep for now, but yeah, we all know how that's in the future. That's not going to be so quiet. Across Los Angeles area, a handful of quakes out there. Looks like maybe some out around the Puente Hills Thrust Fault area. A couple from yesterday, maybe one from today as well. Outside of Bakersfield, a little small microquake, 1.5 range within the last 15-20 minutes. Nothing big going on out here across the West Coast for now. If we look at the 2.5 model, well, that removes all of the earthquakes out there. So even though we got a little bit lightened up here in the last hour, it's
There's definitely been a lot of
just a little quiet in terms of larger movement. For the Pacific Northwest, roughly about the same. Of course, Cascadia Tremor out there yesterday was quite
Haven't gotten that 8.0 yet.
amplified again. 535 epicenters of tremor. Not for sure what's going on with this. Everything's checkered today for whatever reason. I don't think it's my internet because everything's running solid as far as the speed goes. Just a little glitchy out there in the internet world. So there's the tremor activity from yesterday, 535. We'll check that out later this evening, see if this is continuing there along the Cascadia subduction zone. It's definitely been quite amplified out here in the last, I'd say the last 2 weeks or so. All right, looking at the rest of the earthquake map here. A little bit of activity out around the Utah area. Nothing big going on there for now. Yellowstone National Park, pretty quiet up there. Let's double check that and see what we got. Decided to use the a different web browser to check the Yellowstone seismograph stations. For whatever reason, when I use the Google web browser, it gives me a certificate error. But looks like it's working fine on the Edge browser. No, really no earthquake activity to note there across the Yellowstone supervolcano for now. Actually, it looks pretty darn quiet. Texas oil fields still getting hit out here with a bunch of earthquakes. Nothing big, just some 2s and 1s and occasional 3. The rest of the country there, as you can see, pretty quiet. We got one little, what is this, a query blast up there. Little 2-pointer. All right, so what do we got going on here around the world? Largest earthquake here. Looks like it's going to be from yesterday, a 5-pointer. So far today, after midnight, the largest one's going to be a, looks like a 4.6 here along the Izu Trench. That coming in at 33.3 miles deep into this area. Obviously, that's going to be adding some further strain here across the Nankai Trough, which, you know, you guys are probably getting tired of me mentioning it, but it's coming up, I think, for some large earthquake activity. It's been building up some steam and momentum for a little while. A lot of earthquake activity happening around it. Not so much on it, but when it does, it'll be a fairly big. Hawaii yesterday, a 4-pointer down there underneath the Pahala area. Looks like for the most part, there's been a couple more earthquakes there around the Hawaii area since that 4.2, but that's quite common to see earthquake activity down there at that depth. It's about 20 miles or so underneath this area. Has a lot to do with the hotspot region. As the Pacific Plate moves off to the northwest, that hotspot can get some earthquake activity down there. Now it looks like, well, here's the last 7 days of earthquake activity. Looks like a lot of the microquake activity has died off here in the last 24 hours, but that could.
Now, the amount of volcanic magma coming up to the surface, it is, how can I say this? It's like the thin layer of an M&M, you know, and the chocolate in the inside is thinning out the inside of that M&M. You don't know how thick it is because from the outside perspective, but that's what's happening on a shock value level with a lot of these experts, you know, and scientists and researchers and stuff like that. They're finding out that the times that we're living in are unprecedented, and these type of activities have never occurred before. And so people are definitely a lot more interested and actively involved in pursuing, you know, and paying attention and watching now because they see that, oh yeah, this is happening, but they don't see what the Most High is doing right now. Everybody's in judgment.
Easily come back at any time. Let's see what we got for the latest Kilauea update. I know we're getting close here to see an eruption, and I say that because of the amount of time that has passed since the last eruption and the level that we're seeing right now. Let's see here. Check out the webcams up at the summit area, and I don't see any eruption yet. These are all updated images. I know last night there was some glowing out here. It almost looked like it was about ready to erupt, but so far it has not happened yet. No new update yet from the USGS here with regards to the Kilauea volcano as far as their statement goes, but I'm sure that will change here soon.
Real shy. Don't worry.
Let's see what else we have for the earthquake 3D globe. There's that super deep earthquake. Well, there's actually a
bunch in that Indonesian
that's going to be
area.
deeper than 33 miles there. Which one is that? Oh yeah, that's going to be 4.1. The USGS not showing this earthquake here. That's 530 kilometers deep. There's the one that's 33 miles deep here. Got some activity stirring up, maybe on the Nankai Trough.
Yeah.
Notice that 3.6.
Yep, that's right there.
That's from the EMSC model, so
And
that would be
show
right
up.
about here.
It's already
Let's take
happening.
a look at that real quick. That could be a
It is already happening.
be a foreshock to something much bigger. Nankai Trough, I think, is probably a prime suspect there to produce a mega quake here soon. What is going on here? Today's not Monday, it's Wednesday. Should be working. What is up with that? Let me see here. Maybe it's just that that Google browser there. Try that and see. Well, this one looks like it's working, so yeah, I don't know what's going on with the other one. Weird, I'll have to maybe do a reset on it. But yeah, there's 3.6 earthquake there on the Nankai Trough. That's into the subduction zone as well. About 70 kilometers there listed
Right
on the
on
map.
line.
Nankai Trough, of course, is this major subduction zone south coast of Japan here. That's an area of...
So it has been increasingly on a regular basis shaking everywhere. People ain't been able to go to sleep because it's just rocking and rolling all day, every day.
Well, major interest here because the Japanese government put out a mega quake warning for this area last year due to the amount of time that has passed and also earthquake activity happening around it. It was mostly due to a swarm that was happening across the southern end. But now we got some activity resulting in some deeper movement thanks to these earthquakes back here applying strain against this area. Watch that pretty closely.
The graphics on this is amazing.
All right, what else we got out here around the globe? South America looks like Some activity stirring up in the last 24 hours, but that is a lot from yesterday. The Atlantic Ocean there, pretty quiet. Let's take a look here at space weather real quick. And by the way, we are going to get the member drawing done today. Been working on it. Been throwing in the member names there to the fishbowl, so we'll definitely get that done here this afternoon. We're still down there in the B flare category, B6.1 coming in.
Massive hole. Look at this massive space, this smile on the sun. And then you have this massive amount. Like it's interesting how when you let time lapse and you just sit back and watch the things that you speak about actually start coming into fruition or into vision. And I remember saying, just to myself, like, I think the sun is going to spin around 9 times before it just slap the shit out of everybody. And I have another video that explains that part as well. And so hopefully I do find that part in the video. But this is the 9th rotation coming around. On the back side of the sun, it threw out a massive coronal ejection out to space. And to see right here around this corner, you see all this on the left-hand side, all this brightness. That's coming into our view right now. Even though you have this right here, you're seeing massive amounts of activity on the sun right now. Even though the X flare is low, all of these different things. These buildups, the summertime, yeah.
Not a whole lot of sunspots out there that are active in terms of throwing off any strong solar flares, and I really don't see any noteworthy areas here or any areas of interest to watch as far as flaring goes.
Like the sun.
Overall flare threat, these guys showing a 5% chance for an X flare, M flare at 35.
Yeah.
No major auroras there in the forecast for now. We'll just kind of watch things, see how it goes. As far as any close approach asteroids here, see if we got anything headed to the planet that we need to know about. That's so weird. That is definitely weird. Huh. Looks like it doesn't want to work here. I'm wondering what's going on with this. Now it works. Oh man, gonna be one of those days, but it's all choppy. Look at that. It's not working like it should. That's telling me something is not right out here.
And what's going on is that you're seeing a lot of this space activity affect a lot of the satellites, the communications. They just had a problem with the air traffic communications, where they've had several times where their comms have gone down. Like, this is unprecedented times for a lot of these folks right now. Whew, judgment is deep.
Anyway, as far as anything close approach, this one's actually fairly close here. A newly discovered 42-foot bus-size asteroid at 71,000 miles here. That's well within the Earth-Moon distance coming in today. But that's definitely close.
Yeah.
But the size of that, not all that big. Probably create a nice fireball if that were to enter into the atmosphere. But even so, that's a decent number. I normally won't investigate this until we're probably around 12,000 miles or so, maybe 20,000 miles. Then we'll look into the details of the path of that asteroid. But I think right now that's fairly safe.
Okay.
Aside from that, everything else looks at a decent distance there. Storm Prediction Center. It's got to be this. I may have to reset everything today, because it works fine on this end. That's really weird. All right, we'll just use this for right now. Current day 1 outlook looks like we got a slight risk out here across Arkansas, Missouri area. A little bit of a tornado threat limited to the east. Looks like mainly some wind and a little bit of hail threats out there today. Nothing big. Next couple days look about the same. Some storms back building there across Texas for tomorrow. Might have a little tornado risk with it. Mainly some wind and some hail threats out there. Texas definitely famous for producing some big hail, and that looks to be the case there for tomorrow. But for now, folks, I'm going to jump off here. I think what I'm going to do is maybe do a reset of the stream here real quick.
And that's all, folks. And that's all, folks. It's very interesting times that we're living in. Okay, I think this is the video. Let me see. I know that it's talking about the oarfish, but I know there was one other topic that I wanted to bring into this video, because I know that I want to kind of make these like an hour long so I can be able to put them on my TikTok. So they'll be able to be sped up a lot better, a lot more information in each one. So, but we're doing the weather today. So.
Geophysicist Stefan Burns here. Back in February, I reported on some unusual things that were occurring in our oceans. There were a variety of sightings of deep sea creatures that normally don't come up from the depths rising to the surface. One of them was of a devil anglerfish, and it immediately died upon surfacing. Another was of an oarfish. In fact, there have been quite a few of these oarfish that have been rising up to the surface. One
And they all have touched every continent.
of them that was found is actually now visible. It's dead now, but it's visible at the San Diego Aquarium. So this was kind of unusual, but now it seems that there's more rumblings of things occurring in our deep oceans. We have, for example, the axial seamount in Oregon, or rather off the coast of Oregon. This is a submarine volcano just recently discovered around 1982. It had an eruption back in 2015, actually exactly 10 years ago, basically. And it seems to be rapidly increasing in seismic activity, and therefore that would be in volcanic activity. Though there is not yet a confirmed eruption, inflation of this caldera is still going up. We also, at this moment in time, have the 20th eruption at Kilauea, Hawaii, and it's been getting bigger and bigger and bigger each episode. Now, this is on the land, but of course, the Hawaiian Islands are massive underwater volcanoes due to the hotspot there. So we've been having increasing activity in Hawaii. Now these lava fountains are rising up 500, 600 feet up into the air, whereas with episode 1 and episode 2 of this most recent eruption, it was just kind of lava spilling out on the surface. We have axial seamount, which is looking like it's going to erupt since most recently in past 10 years. We also just had our first live observation of a colossal squid, just a juvenile here. But we're just kind of seeing an increase in our understanding at a minimum of what's happening with the deep sea. The question I have is it because we're just studying this more? Or is it because there's more things coming up from the depth? And why are they coming up from the depth? Is it because of increased volcanic activity? Keep in mind the surface of the Earth, 70% of that is oceans. And most of the volcanic activity on the Earth is taking place under the oceans. You have all these seamounts, you have hotspots creating these submarine volcanoes, you have mid-ocean ridges, you have hydrothermal areas, and we're seeing just oddities. Since we've really had high-tech scientific equipment and ability to observe these things, we've noticed, for example, very weird hums and and bloops, and maybe we're entering into a phase where we're starting to really understand what is actually happening on our planet, because again, about 70% of the surface area of the planet is oceans. Only 5% of the abyssal plain, which makes up the majority of that, has been explored. Only 5% of the oceans have been explored. So we really don't even understand our own planet, you could say, from that perspective. We're completely in the dark. And creatures like the colossal squid this is just a juvenile. They can get exceptionally large. They can be 500 kilograms in weight, 600 kilograms in weight. Giant squid, a little bit lighter, but even bigger in terms of their size. These are just a small fraction of potentially the organisms that live down there. Biomass goes down exponentially as depth increases, but it seems that the size of these creatures increases, and we're having more and more of them reach the surface. So in this video, we're going to discuss this potential eruption that is likely to occur soon at the axial seamount here at the mid-ocean ridge between the Pacific Plate and the Juan de Fuca Plate there. And this is right off the coast of Oregon. So a lot of people don't know that there is a submarine volcano off the coast of Oregon. Most people think of, I guess you could say the same thing for Hawaii. Hawaii is a submarine volcano, of course, but it's made enough land that's not submarine anymore. This is the biggest mountain on Earth, the Big Island. It's much taller than Everest, and the size of it is much bigger if you consider its actual overall height going from the abyssal plain. But we do have this seamount here, which is part of a seamount chain, just like Hawaii. There's a hot spot here, as well as a spreading center. So we're seeing increased volcanic activity at the axial seamount. We're seeing increased volcanic activity at Hawaii, specifically Kilauea. Another place that has a spreading center and a hot spot together is Iceland. And as we know, Iceland's been having increased volcanic activity, not only with Grindavik and this part of Iceland just to the south of Reykjavik, the ongoing peninsula eruption, but we're also seeing pretty big volcanic earthquakes under Bardarbunga. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But
that wasn't the actual video that I wanted to show, but you get the hint on that the planetary activity, the solar activity, is bringing rise to what is on the planet. So the video that I was trying to find, I'll play it in the next segment, but I'll cut this. Let me go back over. So let me make sure. But okay, we'll go back to that. We'll come back to that. So, yeah, I just wanted to showcase that off and let everybody know what is going on when it comes to the weather going on right now. The next video I'll show will be the actual point that I was trying to make. So, for this one alone, we'll come back in another time. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have all of the different videos scheduled, the different topics. Got American crime, global unrest, obviously the global weather right here. We'll start just breaking them down so they can be much more information filled. So it's not like, a long variety that's in here. So I'll break them up in segments. But hopefully you enjoyed what's out there and what's to come. We got more information to come. So shout out to everybody out there on all the platforms listening in. I appreciate you guys. And